welcome to Hands-on Gardening. I'm Lake Charles, Master Gardener, and today's show is about native plants. And I'm here at the Native Plant Center on the Westchester Community College campus with Barbara Fisher, fellow Master Gardener, and on the steering committee here at the Native Plant Center. Barbara, thanks for taking the time to do this film with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Lake, and I encourage everyone to come and see our demonstration gardens all times of the year.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit of why native plants are so important today for us to plant?
Well, one of the things we're learning as we do some studying about it is how important the evolution of the plants that grew up here long before we came here with our gardens. Plants after the Ice Age covered all the way down to Long Island. The plants that grew up with the animals and the insects over those millennia, they learned how to live with each other and feed each other and how to nurture each other. There are certain insects that have to eat certain plants. There are certain plants that can be only pollinated by certain kinds of insects and birds. There are certain animals that need to feed on various stages of all the insects. So for instance, a beautiful oak tree. This is the source of nectar food for 527 kinds of insects.
Wow.
Without those insects, the birds that are having nests and babies have nothing to feed their fledglings. They don't have anything to eat themselves. They've got to have this interrelationship. And so we've discovered that native plants are used to being here. They need each other. They need the trees, they need the small plants, they need the shrubs, and they all interact in a very tight web. And when we come and put in our beautiful tea roses and our peonies and our Siberian irises, we are interrupting that, and we need to be the kind of gardeners who put back and get the balance back in Westchester, in our own backyards. It's important to do that because without that, we're not going to have the butterflies and the bees and the birds that we like so much, and that's why we plant our gardens.
So we can help by planting these things that we learn about here.
There are some wonderful reference books available that I would encourage people to read, but yes, if you learn about them, the more you know, the more you can do. I'm not saying to tear out everything and put native plants only, but everybody can add one of the plants that we've seen in the demonstration garden here or there. Everyone can add milkweed to their garden. Everyone can add monarda and coneflowers,
right,
and shrubs like the clethra, or even trees. If you're going to plant anything, plant an oak tree. Everyone can do that, even if you've only got a window box. You can do it.
Right.
And that will add back the balance that we're basically an invasive species, if you think about it. I mean, we came to these shores from various different continents, Europe, Asia, Africa, brought our own plants with us,
yes,
and then we went and tore up everything and planted the old world stuff. Well, that's not going to feed the insects that grew up here and need what they grew up with. They'll take some of the nectar from the peonies, that's fine, but that's not going to give them food to live on. They need the basics, and that's what native plants are. They're the basics.
right. And all the native bee pollinators are even more important now, aren't
Absolutely.
they, with this honeybee crisis that's going on?
Everything we can do to get the restoration of the balance back in our own backyard. If you do it in yours and I do it in mine,
Right.
and the person in between us does it in hers, and the guy next door does it in his, you've got a bit of a stopping place for all sorts of things. You're creating a pathway instead of these interrupted little
Right.
lawns and impatiens and begonias, which just don't add anything to the natural world around us. So that's what I'm pushing for.
Oh, it sounds good. And tell me a little bit about that book you said that was so important.
Bringing Nature Home is by Dr. Douglas Tallamy out of the University of Delaware. It's a new book that came out last winter. He's been a speaker at the Native Plant Center, and he has spoken a number of places in the area. His book is a wonderful treatise, almost like Silent Spring for our generation, because he goes into great detail about the different insects and the needs that they have for trees and shrubs. And he's very encouraging instead of saying, oh my God, look what we've done.
Yeah.
He's saying what I'm saying. I'm picking up his tactic is you can do something. You're the gardeners. You've got the green thumb. Grow it in your backyard, he says.
Act locally, right?
Think global, act local. That's what we're doing.
Thanks, Barbara.
We have here at the Stone Cottage at Westchester Community College homeowner demonstration gardens, trying to show people what they can do in their home with native plants. I want to emphasize that we're on a campus that has deer. Deer are not an issue here. We also do not supplement water once we've gotten all of the plants established. This section here is an alternative to the lawn. We don't fertilize, we don't feed, but we have some wonderful ground covers here that are good in a sunny spot where a lawn normally would be. In the spring, the moss phlox are filled with beautiful pink flowers. The barren strawberries don't actually produce strawberries, but they make a wonderful ground cover. We have some sedge, which you can mow if you are so inclined. I happen to think it looks nice, overflowing. If you really want to go whole hog, you can put all of the tick seed, the coreopsis, in lieu of a lawn. You can see some of the flowers. This is late September, so most of the blooms are done, but this can be in bloom from late spring right through August. It will be in bloom. We have some native grasses that are just starting to make a pink, pearly inflorescence that will be much preferable to the lawn, in my opinion. Yeah. We have golden star. This is a wonderful ground cover that makes a tiny yellow flower. It will bloom off and on throughout late spring, all through the summer. And in the autumn, it's a little early now, this will turn a golden orange. So you have, as a ground cover, 3 seasons of interest. The bearberry is also a wonderful ground cover that stays somewhat evergreen. It has some bird interest and it has some berries on it that you can use. So these are different alternatives that a homeowner can think of, and they can come here at all times of the year and think about what they might want to replace their lawn. Lawns need a lot of fertilizer. You have to use the lawnmower. It seems kind of strange to grow something, fertilize it, and then cut it down again. It does seem a little odd. So we at the Native Plant Center like to encourage an alternative way of covering the ground. Not that we're anti-lawn, it's just,
right.
Okay. This is what we call our winter interest garden over here. We have a huge, beautiful bayberry plant. All right. Bayberry candles are scented with these. This will stay mostly evergreen, and it's got some wonderful bayberries right here on the shrub. So if you, it smells just wonderful here. It's gorgeous. This one, again, we don't water these, so these things are doing just beautifully. Winter interest, we've got some wonderful Ilex verticillata. This is a winter berry. If you plant these, you have to have male and female, but they will produce, and they haven't yet, well, here's one, some beautiful red berries.
Oh, yeah.
When the leaves fall off, the stems are covered in the red berries. And one of the things that native plants are important for is the migratory bird food. Over the millennia, the birds and the flora and the fauna in the area have learned to coexist. And as they fly south or they come back north, they need something to eat, and the plants know how to feed them at the right time. So this is gorgeous in the winter. We have some wonderful switchgrass here. This is just a species grass, it's nothing fancy, but as you can see, the inflorescences have started. It's sort of a blue-gray. It's a beautiful hedge kind of effect. All you have to do is cut it down in March, it comes back up again.
Great.
This section of the demonstration garden we call the foundation planting garden, because you can plant things other than those nice little Japanese azaleas that are really pretty.
Yes.
They're wonderful, but there are many native alternatives that will give you that kind of help. This is called a dwarf inkberry. It's a beautiful plant that will stay evergreen. You need a hedge. This is a great plant. It does have berries. Again, will feed the birds.
Beautiful.
This is a hawthorn tree with beautiful, beautiful berries and gorgeous flowers in the spring. This is a wonderful alternative to, the pear trees or something like that are sterile and don't really feed the birds. Yeah. These will provide a lot of interest, flowers, spring, fall, winter, you'll have the berries on them. This is called a dwarf fothergilla or a well, I call it dwarf fothergilla. This is another shrub that will produce frothy little flowers in the spring of a pale yellow, whitish color. Covers the whole thing, but one of the things that's great about this shrub is it can go in some shade, and yet come another week or two, it's going to start turning orange, bright orange. So you don't need to have any of those startling invasive plants that sometimes I don't even want to refer to.
Right. Well, that's okay. You can refer.
We have some native roses. If you want roses, this is Rosa Carolina, and you get the rose hips. That's so important as a source of food for migratory birds. I guess you could crush it and make rose hip tea if you want.
Jam,
But this is a flower. It makes a rather flat pink flower, which smells very nice actually. And you can almost shear this into a hedge. So we have this here as a very nice demonstration. We've got some more inkberries behind here and another one of the hawthorns here and some more fothergilla. This is new this year. This is called a false golden aster. We had these in the plant sale, and we thought we'd try them out and see how they work, and I think they're really awfully cute. You know, and they're supposed to spread and fill out. And there are honeysuckles that we don't want to encourage, but this is our native bush honeysuckle. This is not going to be the invasive honeysuckle shrub that is all over the woods and taking over. This is not the vine. You know, there is a native honeysuckle, but the invasive ones are all over the parkways.
Turns red too.
Yep.
Starting. Fall is coming.
Yep.
I love this.
This is a carex. Isn't this cute? You sort of want to pet it. You know, you sort of want to just say, "Oh, aren't you a cute little?" So this is a carex. This is an Appalachian sedge. Sedges are very hardy. They turn a sort of a toasty color. So you have winter interest. I suppose if you had to, you could mow it, but I like it this way.
Beautiful. And then what's with this section here?
This section is our butterfly and insect garden. This is both food and nectar sources for the larval stages as well as the adult birds and butterflies that will come here. This is, the flowers are gone. This is called the Stokes aster, Stokesia. It makes very pretty pinky purpley flowers. I like the seed heads that will stay on, and the birds will be coming and they'll be nibbling at the seeds as it goes along.
Everything in here a perennial?
Everything in here is a perennial. In fact, everything in the entire native plant demonstration garden is a perennial. Most of the annuals, there's one semi-annual I'll show you here, but most of the annuals that we grow in this part of the world are not native to here. And that's why they're annuals, because they can't take the cold weather when the time comes. So your impatiens are going to croak, and your begonias and your geraniums, they're all from southern climes. This demonstration garden is for birds and butterflies and insects to attract. This happens to be a white false indigo. This is called Baptisia. This foliage is a bluish grayish. It blooms in the middle of the summer. This one happens to have white flowers. There's another one that is an indigo blue, hence the name. This is a very, very tough plant. It makes a big shrub. Once you plant it, it's got a taproot, so you really don't want to move it too much. One of the most important plants in the native plant arsenal is the butterfly weed, the Asclepias. The butterfly weed is the only food source for the larva of the monarch butterfly.
Really?
You don't have these plants, you don't have the monarch butterfly.
Oh, I love these. Look at the seed pods coming.
Yep. And they spread like that. We want to put these in the demonstration garden to explain that these are very charming flowers when they're in bloom. A lot of people think of them as weeds, but you know, a weed is a plant growing when you don't want it to grow.
Right.
If you want to attract butterflies, you have to have something for their larvae to feed on. So you have to have these plants.
Yeah, I have these in my garden, and all summer they're orange.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful.
We've got some red ones over there. This is the
charming.
chocolate bone set. I think it looks like cappuccino myself. Doesn't it look like
does.
cappuccino? I
Gorgeous.
think this is a wonderful fall blooming plant. This will attract a lot of pollinators as well. And there's not much, as you can see, at this time of year for those remaining insects and the spare butterfly or two to really have as a nectar source. So there are some things here in this garden that are very important to those that are still hanging around here. Haven't gone to Florida.
They still have to eat.
Coneflowers, one of my absolute all-time favorite.
Oh, yeah.
They make fabulous color. There's one plant,
Yeah,
one little flower left.
One left, and the goldfinches eat these, don't they?
Absolutely. I had 3 pairs of them on mine at home.
Wow.
The yellow and the not yellow. And the goldfinches stay here all winter. So I
Yes.
leave the seed heads of all of my perennials on
Yes.
for all those birds that don't
Yes,
fly
me
south.
Too.
I had said that we don't normally put annuals. This is not really an annual because it self-seeds itself. This is a black-eyed Susan called Indian Summer. And here it is. It's the 20, whatever it is, of September. And here it is, bright yellow.
Second day of fall, and it's
Yeah.
still going. What is this?
These, the Dumbo ears.
Uh-huh.
That's another Rudbeckia. This is a prairie plant. This is not native to this part of New York, but but it adds a nice structural interest. So if you're a home owner and you have a dry, sunny spot and you want something vertical, I think they're wonderful. And they like a little hat with the little yellow flowers sticking out around the hat.
Right.
But and they're called Dumbo ears because they make such great big, sort of glaucous leaves.
Terrific.
The blue is as an azure sage, a salvia.
Uh-huh.
It's a stunning color this time of year with the yellow and the greenish blues, don't you think?
Certainly.
So
is,
if you're
yeah.
doing a garden and you want blue at this time of year, other than just the asters, you've got this gorgeous sage. And again, this is an important tubular flower that will attract the kinds of insects and even hummingbirds, if they're still around, to eat. This is the nodding onion.
Oh, it's
This is an
nodding.
allium.
Uh-huh.
And as you see, it sort of bends over
Right.
and says hello to you. And it's a little white flower, and I use it as a border plant in the front of my border.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very handy plant to have. Deer don't eat it. It's great.
Oh, good to know.
We have a clethra. We have another one down at the other demonstration
Yes.
garden. The clethra, the sweet pepper bush, comes in white flowers and pink flowers, but it smells like honey. So I think instead of planting an azalea, from Japan, put a clethra in, and not only do you get the beautiful flowers, you get the aroma of honey that just wafts through the air, fills the whole thing. Bee balm, if you want hummingbirds, you want to plant the bee balm because of the tubular flowers.
Right. The hummingbirds love
They
these.
love
I bet.
these, yeah.
Nice choice.
And this is in the mint family, so it makes its own little clump. Again, we have some more. This is the red milkweed. The flowers are red. I think they're absolutely wonderful. Aren't these great? I love these. Yeah. We have aster here and some more coneflowers. And I just want to show you this. This is a mountain mint. This will bloom starting in July, and it makes white flowers all over it, and you'll get every insect in the neighborhood will be here, just feasting on this plant. Because it's a mint, the deer don't eat it. I have it in part shade, so it flops a little bit, but if you keep it in the full sun like this, it's a nice, tough, upright plant. So
Thank you. That looks like a good start for the homeowner.
And I will point out that these are redbud trees.
Oh, and redbuds are native, are they?
Cercis canadensis, there is a Chinese version, but Cercis canadensis is native. This is one of the first trees to put out flowers before the leaves. So all of the stems of the tree are outlined in pink flowers in the spring.
Starting to see these more in the nurseries now.
Yes,
They're becoming very popular up here.
And they've got one with black leaves now called black pansy,
Ooh.
which I covet dearly.
Yes. I just put one of these in a couple of years ago, and I love it. So now we're down here at the demonstration garden for the meadow, but I'd like to have you tell us a little bit about the Native Plant Center here.
Sure. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary. The Native Plant Center is at Westchester Community College here in Valhalla. We are the first national affiliate of the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center from Austin, Texas.
Wow.
This was the idea of one of our 3 founders that we'll be honoring this year, and they convinced the Westchester Community College Foundation to let us get started, and Brooke Beebe was our first director 10 years ago. We now have 2 demonstration gardens. They're open to the public. They're free. They're open every day of the year.
Wow.
Free. Anybody can come anytime. We have the cottage garden, which is the homeowner demonstration garden that has examples of ground cover and foundation plantings and bird and butterfly garden. And then we have a meadow garden for those people who have a little bit more space and are a little bit more adventurous, who want to try to do more to change the ecology of their neighborhood. The first of the meadow gardens that I'm going to show you was set up in 1999, right after we were founded. They cleared the space here. This is just nothing space, it was just lawn. They cleared the ground. They killed all of the invasive weeds. We tried doing it from seed, but the next year it was very disappointing. So we got some money to do it from plugs, which are small plants, specially grown to plant a meadow. You can have a fabulous meadow if you give it a lot of work for the first couple of years. We watered it the first year. We never watered it again. All we do now is mow it down in March.
Wow, you mow once a year?
Once a
Now,
year.
there's a benefit.
The peak time for the meadow is midsummer. We have coneflowers and Joe Pye weed. In the fall we have goldenrod. We have the milkweed that's so important to get those butterflies. There are a lot of natives in there. We've got to have somebody come and try to pull as many invasives out as we can. That does happen, particularly here on a very large campus. We can't control everything, but in a homeowner's area, if you're replacing a lawn with a meadow, it's not too onerous to pull out 1 or 2 things every once in a while. So we'd love to show it to you.
Sure, but first tell me, if people wanted to access the Native Plant Center online, what's your website?
www.nativeplantcenter, all one word, .org.
Great.
We have on the website lists of the plants that are in the cottage garden, as well as lists of plants in the meadow demonstration garden. We also have devised lists of shade garden plants, sun garden plants, lists to attract butterflies. We have the Westchester County list of plants that the county has produced a flyer. Westchester County's executive director has mandated that all Westchester County parks and property will only be planted with native plants, which is very forward thinking. It's really great.
That is.
The website will also include information about our plant sale, which is usually the end of April, beginning of May every spring. We have people growing native plants available only through us at that plant sale. It's just a one-day affair, but members can pre-order some things. Again, membership information is online.
Great.
So do take a look.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Okay, let's go see the garden.
We're by the gate to the beginning of the campus here. We call this the meadow garden. I'd like to point out some of the plants. I mean, this is late summer, early fall. We have a lot of goldenrod. We have a lot of the Rudbeckia triloba. This is called a turtle head, a chiloni. It comes in pink and white. That's absolutely adorable. We have some more of the chocolate bone set that we had discussed, and the azure sage. Look at that bumblebee on there. There's not much for them to eat right now.
No.
So he's busy. He's busy.
Talk a little bit about this stunning
specimen. Yeah. Isn't this wonderful? This is an American cranberry, not the kind that you get from Ocean Spray.
No.
One of the things that I love about this shrub is its berries here in the fall. It's got beautiful flowers in the spring as well. But, you know, the birds need to migrate, and they need to eat while they're migrating. So what we have to do is have native plants that will fruit enough to get them fed on their way down, and again on their way. Native shrubs will fruit at different times. Some will hold their fruit all winter long for the returning birds, and they sweeten up while they're on they may not eat them on the way down, but they know that they're there on the way back. So this will not have this on very much longer. When they start migrating, these will be gone.
But this would be an excellent place for people to come before they think of planting major things like bushes to see.
We
what
hope
they look
so.
like here.
I mean, one of the reasons to have a demonstration garden with native plants is to illustrate size, shape, sun, not sun, little, big, color. This will be it's starting to turn. This is a gorgeous autumn color that we'll have. You know, this I'm saying about, this is called an aronia, and they look like little raisins, don't they?
Somebody's going to love that.
Well, I had 7 robins in my aronia at the end of January eating these. So these will not necessarily disappear by the ones heading south. These are going to be for the overwintering birds and for the ones coming back up north.
Winter snack.
Winter, little raisins, you know, and stuff like that. But this is a Joe Pye weed. We had to cut the seed heads off because of the demonstration garden, but if you turn around, you can see some really wonderful ones in the back, way in the back.
Yeah, there's Joe holding his head up high.
Big Joe.
It's so nice, Barbara, to sit here for a bit with you today in this wildflower meadow, and I want to thank you so much for showing us around.
Well, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be able to show it off to you and your audience and all of the gardeners here in Westchester County. One of the things that we hope to do with an open to the public demonstration garden is give people ideas of size and shape and sun and wet. We talked a little bit earlier about the oak tree. This is a great oak tree right behind us, and it adds to the pleasure of sitting under an oak tree to know how important it is to the whole of Westchester as a food source for all of the insects. So it makes me feel even better about the demonstration garden.
That's great, thank you. And I sure hope everybody will come up to Westchester Community College and visit the demonstration gardens here at the Native Plant Center. Open year-round and a very short drive from Larchmont and Marinette. So thank you all, and I'll see you next time.